Ready? Let's do a new agent tip on best practice to work with a brand new buyer. So, I've been taught from the very beginning of doing real estate that the best thing you can do with a buyer, the first thing that you do with a buyer, is you schedule an appointment to meet them at the office or at a professional place at least. This ensures that they understand that this is a professional meeting and that you guys are going to be working together on something big, which is like possibly the biggest transaction they'll ever do financially. This is a big deal. Treat it like it's a profession because it is a profession. Real estate, when you show your value, I think that people take you more seriously. They listen to you better. They'll hear your ideas and they'll hear your advice and they'll listen to you a little bit more if you bring them into an office, which is a professional environment, and you explain the process. So first thing I do, somebody texts me or calls me or whatever. And I'm not just saying this is me, this is what I was taught. And it works. It really works well. First thing I do is I talk to them and, say, oh, okay, great. Are you looking, to be moving in a short while? You're just getting started looking for a house. Have you talked to a lender yet? No, is usually the case. Or, yeah, I went down to my bank and it looks like I'm going to be pre-approved. Okay, great. Well, banks, it's great that you went to your bank. That's wonderful. I'd suggest you actually look at a lender because they may have easier ways to communicate or the weekends and on the, in at nighttime when you're not working. They also sometimes can be much more competitive in getting you qualified and getting you to the finish line. So you can choose up to three lenders within a 30-day period, and they can check your credit. All three of them can check your credit. It shows up one time. So how about we get together? Okay. So I need to just meet with you and let's kind of talk about the process. I want to know exactly what you're looking for. I want to explain to you what I do and how I can help you get the home of your dreams, whether that's a starter home or like your end luxury mansion, one way or the other. I want to help you. And so I want to show you how those steps go. Even if you've bought a house before, you may not have bought one through me. So let's make sure that, we're on the same page. Okay. So let's set up a meeting. And I usually put it out at least 3 days. Okay. Because I want to give them time to talk to three different lenders and get pre-qualified. Not only that, I want to prepare for their meeting because I'm not just going to show up and just, write down a couple things and then move on. This is, a little bit more. So schedule myself about an hour for a meeting and then schedule that time with them while I'm on the phone with them or texting back and forth and try and get it at the office. We have great meeting places, it definitely shows a professional atmosphere. So better than a Starbucks, unless that's, the only thing you can do because you're out of the area or whatever. So when you send them the lenders, tell the lenders that you have sent them, a person that is looking at buying. Let them know their names and that they might be calling. The lender will be excited that you share their information and, then they have a heads up. Check back with the buyer in a good day and a half, 2 days, see how far they've gotten with that process and confirm the appointment. Okay. So then when you get to the appointment, greet them, give them water, whatever they need, chit chat for a little bit to kind of either catch up if they're an old friend or kind of, just kind of get to know them and build some rapport. And then definitely do a full buyer presentation meeting. So I'm going to show you what I usually do to prepare for that. And it's not extensive, but by this time when we're meeting, I know if they've been pre-qualified. And this has stopped me from having no-show meetings or knowing that they're not going to show up because if they don't qualify because they are, 6 months to 3 years out because of credit issues, I'm not wasting my time meeting them. They're not wasting their time looking at houses. Okay. And we all know now, as realtors, we have to get a signed agreement before we even show a house. So showing them the process is just more of a professional way to handle it. So when you have a buyer presentation, you're putting that together. I'm going to show you some of the things that I do. First of all, before I change and share the screen, we have, I don't know that you can see this very well, but yes, we have these presentation folders. See if I can put it in front of my face. I don't know why it's not showing up right. It's too foggy. We have buyer presentation folders, listing presentation folders. Your cards go in here. The back has, some encouraging words on it. Anyway, these are all at your offices, and you can buy them. Currently, they're $3 a piece. I am going to have to order some, and I have no idea what I'm going to pay for them this time. But anyway, get the ones that are $3 while you can, I guess. So I get one of those out. I put one of my business cards in the little slot that's, there for business cards. And then I'm going to show you some other things. At each of your offices, there are buyer guides. I'm going to share my screen real quick. There are buyer guides already printed off for you, but if you don't have one of those, they are also on the home page. So the buyer guide, and click on that. Let's say you're in the Calhoun office. You can open this up and you can print this. I suggest you print it on high quality paper. You can use our printers, bring in some high quality paper so that it comes out really, really nice. These are great branded guides that give you a roadmap, a loan application checklist, which they've already gotten started, a recommended lender, whoever that is, home search, must-have checklist, house hunting tips, offers negotiations, and kind of what you do preparing for closing this. Some people think this is just enough. And it really does give a lot of information. I mean, and it's high quality, nice looking, I think, presentation. Then the next thing I'd suggest you do is go into Canva, and there's two things to look for. Number one, you want to be explaining who you are, but you also want to gather their information. So I can tell you, there have been many times throughout my career that I've talked to people that were buyers who said they were not pleased with their agent because their agent did not listen. They did not hear what they were really looking for. They just asked, okay, well, so what price range are you in? Okay, you're between 300 and 400 and you want to live in Cartersville. Okay, great. How many bedrooms? Okay, that sounds good. Well, that's all I need. And we're going to go into, I'll send you listings, right? Well, how about you get a little more specific? One thing that, people love to know that they're cared for, right? That you listen and that you're interested in their desires. So in Canva, this is your agent Canva. There are a couple of different types of buyer profiles, but this is one right here that you could open up. You can make it your own, save it in your own folder if you'd like to. Like I changed mine a little bit and I got rid of the gray. Obviously, I'm not Liz, the real estate whiz. So it doesn't say that. And I made mine blue, like these words were blue, Max One blue. But regardless, this is a great form to use to fill out. Okay, what areas are you looking in? If they say, well, I want to live near Calhoun. Okay, Calhoun to Rydell or Calhoun proper, or is Sonoraville okay? Or like, what area do I really want to be in? And write those things out, like really ask those questions. How many bedrooms are you looking for? They say 3 bedrooms. Okay, great. Are you going to use all those 3 bedrooms as bedrooms, or do you need an office? Oh, yeah, I do need an office space. Well, so maybe I need 4 bedrooms. Well, or you need 3 plus an area that you can call an office. The more you understand them, the better they know that you're listening, right? Number of bathrooms, same thing. Oh, yeah, 2 bathrooms at least. Well, 2 full bathrooms, or is 1.5 bath okay? They're probably going to say, oh no, 2 full bathrooms. And if there's another half bath, that's great. So at least 2 full bathrooms, plus maybe a half bath. Now this gets down into, you want single family, duplex, townhome, whatever. If you want a basement, crawl space. And of course you can edit this any way you'd like to. I'm just showing you the form, okay? If you want to use this form, however, let me get back out of here. If you want to use this form, this is the form. Click on the three little dots, make a copy, okay? Because Liz, the real estate whiz, might want to use this. So I made a copy. Here's mine. Mine looks a little bit different, but just to give you an example, you see how I moved this to the middle. I changed it to blue, you know, yada, yada. I may have added some things in here. I'm not sure. But all of these things, if you ask, like, what's important to you? Is an open floor plan important to you? Like, if I'm a buyer personally, I want a stone fireplace that's wood burning. And I don't want any houses that don't have a stone fireplace. I don't want it brick. I don't want it to look like wood or marble. I want a stone fireplace. That's just me. And I'd prefer it to be wood. Well, at this point, like that's all I'm going to take is a wood fireplace. And that might be like some people hate fireplaces, like they never use them. So, you know, why put anything in the list that has a fireplace? They just don't want to see it. They want to put something else there, a piece of furniture or whatever. So just ask the questions, you know? So this is another form you can use. Now, the other last part that I would suggest that you do is your own buyer presentation. And this can be very close to or very similar to the buyer sheet, you know, the buyer guide, but it may or may not be. And I'm going to use Madison's just to give you an example. And this is, I think, beautiful. She, by the way, she has a business where she will do these Canva things for you. So if you're interested in that, reach out to Madison. And if you don't know how to reach her, reach me. I think she's on our roster. But anyway, this is her own personal commitment, pictures. This is what she does, what she delivers. And so I have one of these as well. Mine looks a little bit different than hers does. I think hers is gorgeous. I like it in some ways better than mine, but some ways I don't. But anyway, this is important that you talk to them about who you are. What sets you apart? Why do they want to use you instead of the 2,000 other agents that are out there that they might even know 5 or 6 of, right? Well, most people don't give this buyer presentation. So just doing that, just setting an appointment and sitting down with them and giving them a presentation is far more than probably 90% of the agents do out there. So set yourself apart, okay? You guys are so good. And you know, I know every single one of your hearts, pretty much every single one of your hearts, if you're one of my agents anyway, because I know this is a public channel. But if you are one of my agents, I know your heart is for your people. I know it is. And that is really rare, okay? Get that out there. Explain to them how you set yourself apart by giving care and concern, information, education, and so on. This is a really good presentation. This is great. Anyway, again, look at this. This is a homes toured checklist. And then at the end, buy your home with confidence and a little QR code for her contact information. If you want to use this, you can only go here to the 3 little dots and click make a copy. Once you make that copy, you can move it. You see this move? Go back in here, this section, and move it to your folder because you have a folder inside your Agent Canva if you're with us. All right, so now I'm going to back out of this share so we can talk a little bit more one-on-one. So sit down with your people, talk to them, tell them, listen, this is a big commitment that you're making. I know I'm not trying to scare you. I promise I'm not trying to scare you, but it is a big commitment. So we need to establish that, I'm going to be sending you some properties. I'm going to help advise you for the properties that fit what you're looking for. I'm going to help advise you as to what price to offer, what terms that you want to offer, because it's not all about price. I'm going to help you decide what items on an inspection you might want to ask the seller for. And, you don't have to take my advice. Okay. But at least you know that I'm here. I'm your right hand through this whole process. So my experience will help you, even if I've just gone through real estate school, right? Because real estate school was not easy. You learned a lot during real estate school, right? So even if this is your first buyer that you're going to work with, you know more than the general public does. So when you just say, listen, I want to show you the process, you're going to go through, first of all, you did the right thing. You called me. I've hooked you up with a lender. You've gotten pre-qualified. You're doing great. Now let's solidify our communication. So I can work with you as a customer, or I can work with you as a client. The difference between those is, as a customer, I cannot give you any advice. You tell me what you want. You tell me what doors you want me to open. You tell me what to put on that purchase and sale agreement. You tell me what things you want done off the inspection report. You do all of that work. I just facilitate. Okay. So I'm going to be working on just the paperwork and getting that to the appropriate parties. And that's it. Ministerial duties. If you want to do that, we have to sign this form called a customer acknowledgement or a buyer customer agreement. Okay. But if you want my advice and you want the reason I went through school and you want my experience and you want me to help you through this process, then we just have to sign a buyer brokerage agreement. And what that means is that I'm going to be helping you exclusively through this entire process. So that means if you roll up on something on Zillow and you want to click more information, you're going to screenshot that and send it to me, and I'm going to be able to help you with that property, and I'll get the information for you. If you roll by a for sale by owner and you're like, oh, I really like that house, I want to see it, snap a picture of the phone number, call me, tell me where it is, make sure you get the address because they may not be listed, you know. Um, so then I can research it and try and get us into that house. And um, talk about compensation, talk about that, typically these days, you know, sellers are still paying for buyer agent compensation. It doesn't always happen that way. You are the one that's responsible for my compensation because I am working for you, right? I'm doing all of this and spending my gas and doing all this, searching and researching and so on and giving you advice. But typically, you're going to have down payment costs. You might have closing costs, although I can negotiate that with the seller depending on the market. You're going to have earnest money that you have to come up with, inspection money you're going to have to come up with, appraisal money you have to come up with. Paying a buyer's agent on top of that is expensive. So most sellers understand that. And honestly, in this environment, yes, it's your responsibility, but we want to check mark the area that says that you're going to allow me to ask the seller to pay for that compensation so you don't have to. Okay. Discuss that with them, go through everything, tell them what earnest money is, tell them what down payment, tell them what closing costs are for, and that you can sometimes get the seller to help cover those costs, that you'll be in touch with the lender to find out exactly what you need. And you're not going to make them go into anything that they aren't fully prepared for. Then you can talk about portals. You can talk about the Agent One Home or whatever the portal system is that works in your MLS for that area. And what I usually do is wrap up the conversation by saying, okay, now let's get down to the fun stuff. Let me find out what you're really interested in. And I pull out that buyer profile sheet and I fill it out with them. We talk about all kinds of stuff. Where are you living at right now? because you may not know, but they might have a house to sell. Now you have a listing, possibly, right? As well as a buyer representation. So that can, lead into another appointment that you meet them at their house at that point. But if they're, first time home buyer or they're renting, or they're, getting a divorce or something like that, whatever the case might be, at least you know that as well. So gather information, and then what I usually do at the end of my buyer presentation is say, okay, so can you be around your email in, let's say, 2, 3 hours from now? And if they say yes, I say, okay, great. I'm going to send you some paperwork. There are going to be some disclosures, and there's going to be that form because you said you wanted to work with me as a client so I can give you advice, correct? They say yes. I've got a couple of yeses already. So that means that they're going to sign it. And I say, all right, well, I'm going to call you when that form is ready to be sent, and then we're going to go over it step by step together. Never send them a form and don't go over it with them. Okay, never, ever, ever do that. Always go over the forms. They are responsible to read the contracts, but if we don't ever tell them, they just blindly have faith in us, and we need to go over those forms. That's our duty. So go over that form with them, and then I tell them, once that's completed, then I'm going to set up your portal to the MLS, and we're going to get a look at some houses. Now, last thing I say, so when is the best time for you to go shopping? Because we're going to go shopping and see some homes. Get that information, write it down, hand them their portfolio, right? Hand them that with the buyer guide, with the buyer presentation, with your business card. You hold on to the buyer profile because you need that in order to enter it into the portal, and start that. And you can also scan that into the paperless pipeline if you want. Morgan's not going to check it. Okay. He'll be like, what? That's it's not a contract form, but it's good to keep with paperless pipeline, I think. Um, then, what happens when you do it like this is you have people knowing that you are connected to them. You're their right hand. They understand that it's a profession. You're not just a door opener. Okay. That's what people think, that we're door openers and that we just punch numbers into a computer. So teach them that it's not that. Teach them. They'll understand the reason why you get compensated for your efforts. And I think you'll have a lot less people ghost you or go with another agent or click on realtor.com and call that agent. Because if you're telling them, don't do that, you're connected to me. I handle all that. I'm your front person. I'm your guard when it comes to all that stuff. Because you don't want to talk to the seller. They're going to try and tell you all kinds of stuff, that, oh no, they're not going to take a penny less. Well, we'll see about that. Okay. I hope that helps. I hope that's a good agent tip for you. And I hope that, oh yeah, by the way, one more little thing. I want to share my screen and show you this. If you haven't seen it, on MX1 Core, this weekly interest rate, check this out. This shows 30-year mortgage fixed rate at 6.0 for Fannie Mae. Or Freddie Mac, sorry, Freddie Mac, 5.43 for 15-year. But I just heard of somebody getting a 5.25 on a 30-year fixed rate mortgage with no points. So check with your lender. But mortgage rates are holding steady. They are going down a little bit. I think that this is great. You can always check this, but just know that it's right here on the front page, on the home page of MX1 Core, and you can get your weekly interest rates from Freddie Mac. Different programs are going to be different, of course, so check with your local lender, but if you want to send something out there on social media or what have you, maybe that's something that you want to do. Okay. Have a great day. I hope this tip helps you, and go get some buyers that are like really strong and go find them their dream home. Have a good day.